The other factor in what you were talking about is on the artistic side, we may want to make a statement with a character. You know, so a character might want to have big doofy eyes, for example. Just for example, or a long face, just to have them, you know, or whatever. So we may want to start with a storyboard, just you know, based on the script. You know, this is what this character, how it's defined.
That's a good idea to start with a storyboard, because then you kind of know what you want it to look like, and that'll help when you're building your mechanics and you're building the artwork.
So, and then possibly sculpt, instead of buying a stock head like that, you know, sculpt something that would represent. I don't know how much of that's done in the artistic painting and latexing afterwards, or how much of it is the skull. But if it's an elongated head, for example, I would think the skull would be different. So, so there's that consideration too, not just mechanically, but the artistic side of it. You know,
making sure that works with the story and their personality in the story. And,
which we're still in the process of defining. That's why he's a prototype. You know, so originally we weren't even sure the macaw would be in the story. You know, we saw that macaw that we sent you the link to, and said, you know, hey, let's try to build him, see what we can do. And I think that was just the challenge. You know, we saw this one for 18,000. How can we do it? Yeah. You know, so so yeah, and he may or may not end up in the show. So that's the thing. But we're in that spot now. So we're both teams are running at the same time, where the script is being developed, and you know, the mechanics are being developed. The animatronics are being developed.
So do you need someone to start doing illustrations for it and kind of storyboarding it?
Yeah, maybe we can talk about that. We actually do. We have someone working on that, but this person's so overwhelmed with other projects that she's doing for us, plus she works here full time. So, so yeah, it's been sort of a thing where I really have to push, and she works for me, so I give her other assignments, so I'm not necessarily, you know, blaming her. So, but yeah, it might be great to have someone kind of more dedicated to it. So maybe we can talk about that part of it too, and that might push me, just like the report I did for you is pushing me to develop that side of the story a little bit more. Sure. The script, I think, is pretty developed. It's not done, but at least it's on par with where we are. The rest of it, like the staging, which is so critical to this, because, you know, for this team to move forward, we need to know, okay, how is this camel going to move? And, you know, like, for example, there's that script element where the camel needs to look behind him. It's very important to the story, where they see the star and they're like, there's this awe moment.
Okay, so that's like up over the right shoulder or something like that?
It can be.
On the back or what?
You know, I don't know. That's the kind of thing.
We're
mostly,
you know,
yes.
The neck prototype is going to have those kinds of motions.
Right.
Okay. I was going to give you that flexibility just because I figured you'd want something like that later.
And there's stuff we can do with lighting and stuff. So what we'll do at that point in the story is we'll have fiber optics, and those will be really well illuminated. The animatronics lighting will go down, so that will help. So if, say, the bodies aren't turning, say just the necks are turning, and they look a little too exaggerated, it won't matter as much because of the lighting. So there's other things we can do. We can divert the audience's focus as well.
Well, see, that's another thing is, most people don't know the extent of what an animal can do.
Yeah.
I've seen a cow lick the middle of its back on the top. Okay? They are that flexible.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
But
you wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Position, but it can whip that head around and whip that tongue out.
But we also want it to be personified a little bit to where, you know, maybe they are pivoting, so... You know, so it's not just about what's the capability of the animal, you know, what looks like that's the center of attention now.
Right.
Are you seeing this thing turn, and is that speaking to you too? Like, wow, this diverted his entire attention to the point, his attention to the point where he turned and looked at it.
Right.
So that might be, you know, more personified, not necessarily, you know, within the confines of what the animal can do, but.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing we need to work out, and I found how lagging I am on that part of it, just by Tom basically asked me for a short report, basically, of requirements. I want this animal to do this, this, and this. You know, just do we want the ears to move in tandem or independent, or so that got me really thinking.
Using the bear jamboree, the country bear jamboree in Disney as the example, you got the bears, and you know they may be playing their instrument a little bit. So they're sitting up. That's my first question. What's their position? Are they down on all four? Are they laying down? You know, how are they moving? And then how are they moving their limbs? And then, you know, when you're talking the mouth, are they just going like this, or are they also going like this? And are they puckering their lips? But, you know, eyelids, are there eyebrows? Are they moving their eyeballs around? You know, do we have any ears? You know, it's all of these. It's not like I'm trying to inundate him, but if we make an animal that doesn't move their ears and then you want their ears moved, we can change it, but it's going to take.
It's easier
time
to
and
know
money.
in the beginning. It's good to know also for the sculpting and for kind of planning out all that process to know how is it going to move, and because you want to make sure you have flexible material where it can move, but you don't need to have that material everywhere because it's no point.
So I've been hitting him up for it, and feel free to do the same.
Yeah, but if you're interested in helping in that, maybe we can talk about that.
For the illustrations?
Yeah. Yeah, I could just inform you a little bit more about the story, even forward you sort of the working script and some of the ideas and some of those drawings that we have already, some of the ideas I have for staging. The manger, if you can picture like the manger scene that you see in every card, except for it's slightly skewed. Instead of the manger being sort of downstage, the animals are sort of downstage, and the manger is sort of more of a detail in the center, but sort of upstage, like it's not exactly the focus, because the animals, you know, they're and the animals are in the same formation they are in the card, but you don't realize that they're almost in choir formation. You know, like they're ready to do this really
singers,
great,
right?
yeah. And they're very the beginning of the show is very funny. They're completely disorganized, and they all have these really great personalities, and they're getting ready. They're scurrying to get ready for this show. The curtain's about to open. But once it opens, I mean, this act is just, I mean, top hats, and they may not or may not be pulling out the top hats, but it's going to be pretty cool showstopper.
Yeah.
The music is coming along. We have a whole team working on the music, all original music, orchestrations, full orchestra. It's going to be wild.
Sounds really very
Yeah. So we want that climax at the beginning to be pretty high impact, and we want it to look like the classic manger scene, but then also for it to look a little ironic, like they're not supposed to be doing that, you know, but you know, they're animals. They don't know any better until later in the story they do, because the moment was so powerful that even the animals had that moment of hush. So we think it's going to be pretty neat, very entertaining. So it'll be a sing-along at the end. We're going to do the whole Feliz Navidad thing. So they're going to, it's going to be a lot of fun. The show is going to be a blast for everyone who sees it.
It does sound really very exciting. It seems like for the illustrations, a good place to start is to have like all the illustrations of each of the characters, and kind of maybe like some things they do, and then to have that manger scene like you were saying, but where they're going to be on the stage. I have some ideas for that. And then to go through and start storyboarding the whole the whole story, how do I approach it?
Awesome. You know, and it might just start with, I mean, if you are interested, and we can talk more about this, but maybe you just want to take a stab at the staging. I could, for example, I can give you the list of the characters, and I can let you know things like, well, the camels have to be together for this reason, and the lamb has to be at this place for this reason. I can let you know that kind of thing. I can give you a general idea, like I just did, of where the manger will be, and then maybe you can just use your own skills and say, hey, you know, this is a sketch of how I think it might play out.
That's a good idea, and then at least you have something to work off of and say, like, no, not that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna narrow
because
it down.
it's not my skill set at all, what you're going to do, and it might just say, wow, you know, that's really cool, I really love it, I wasn't thinking about that, and man, that actually helps me, you know, do my thing. I'll certainly give you more details. I don't want you to feel...
It sounds like a good place to start, just even before making like the skin on them, because if you don't know what they're supposed to look like first, so it's just so you don't have to redo it. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, actually. I think that's cool. So where are we? This is a neat project. This is going to take us through the next couple of years, but we have a lot of other stuff that we think this is just the beginning. We think there's going to be great stuff, and who knows, full-time stuff coming up. So we think it's going to be pretty neat. And who knows, but it doesn't stop here. It never stops as far as we're concerned.